What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Monday Mail Day, the return of MMD. We back. Now, just a quick thing I want to throw out there. A lot of people were wondering what happened because I was pretty consistent with Monday Mail Day, giving it to you guys every Monday, pause. And it just all of a sudden, we've been gone for a while, off the air for a while. Now, just to let you guys know, cue you in as to why. The month of May was crucial for me. I traveled 4 times in 4 weekends, back to back to back. I went to Inglewood, to the Forum, to see the Gennady Hey No Guys versus Dominique Wade fight. I drove up there. Then I came back to the Bay Area. Then I was here, home for a couple days. Then the next weekend was Andrade versus Victor Ortiz Part 2. So I drove up with some friends for that fight in Carson. So I came back for a few days. Then it was Canelo versus Amir in Las Vegas. So I flew out there, came back for a few days, and it was the Charlo brother Edislandi Lara versus Vanes Matarosa rematch in Las Vegas. And I drove up with some friends again. So it was just back to back to back. I was sitting on a ton of footage, and to be honest, I was kind of burnt out. It was just non-stop. I was on, then off, on. And not to mention, this is a real life grind. So when you're covering the fights, it's fun watching the fights and stuff, but you're really hustling. You're meeting people, you're networking, you gotta walk. I'm carrying my backpack and trying to catch fighters and Andre Ward and in the alley and, you know what I'm saying, different stuff like that. So I appreciate everyone that has donated. It really helps the movement, the cause. None of this is free. I'm trying to get more people to help me so it can free up my time to get other people, photographers, other writers, you know what I mean, just different things to free me up. So that's why Monday Mail Day has been gone, but we back in full effect, and I appreciate everyone who's supported since I've been doing it. A lot of people were asking, like, yo man, hey Ego, where Monday Mail Day, man? Fuck this channel, I'm unsubbing, man. So you guys were really hurt that Monday Mail Day was gone. Without further ado, let's get into it. First question, Southside Boxing. Ego, Monday Mail Day, welcome back. Since Porter lost a close fight to Thurman, do you think it would be a good idea for Porter to go after the Spence fight now? No. Or maybe a Chris Eubank Jr. or Victor Ortiz. With that loss, I don't see him getting a title shot right now. He is highly dangerous. Yes, he is. So what should he do? Lamont Peterson, Ruslan Provatnikov. Now, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think he should go after Earl Spence, and I don't even know if Earl Spence, not that I talked to Spence, and he's down to fight anybody. However, it doesn't make sense for Earl Spence, and I don't really think it makes sense for Shawn Porter at this point. The goal for Porter should be to try to get a Thurman rematch, because that's a title right there. Some people thought he beat Thurman. I didn't. I had him losing 1 or 2 rounds. It was a very good fight, very competitive, did good numbers, things of that sort. However, Earl Spence's immediate plan is to try to go after Kell Brook, Jesse Vargas winner, Kell Brook's belt, the IBF belt. So that kind of, for him to just derail from that to fight Porter, who just came off a loss, doesn't really make sense. It looks like Spence is going to fight Earl. Spence is going to fight Leonard Bundu, most likely. And then he'll be in line to face the Vargas. And that fight's not even official, but Brook Vargas, if that gets finalized, he's in line for Kell Brook's belt or the winner of that fight. And to me, as for Porter, he shouldn't backtrack and just fight necessarily a guy that has no name in the sport. But a Lamont Peterson, a Robert Guerrero, Victor Ortiz, an Andre Berto, maybe someone around there, maybe even a Konstantin Panamarev, somebody like that, and just get your bearings back, work on a little bit of things that you think you could have done different in the Thurman fight after watching the tape, after some relaxation. And, you know what I mean, to me, that would be a good start, and then just work his way back to a title shot. Guys like maybe even a Sammy Vasquez, maybe a fight like that. Even an Aaron Martinez, possibly. Just somebody who's been in a couple of decent or high-profile fights. I think something like that would be good for Shawn Porter. And he didn't really lose any stock in the Thurman fight. It was a great fight. Next question, Chuck Dre. Yo, Ego. Love the channel. Keep up the great work. Now that Porter and Khan lost, what would be your thoughts on them fighting each other? or other fights for them. And I kind of went over Porter, so I'll talk about your first question, which is Porter versus Khan. It's not a bad fight. It's a good fight. Khan can box, but that's a dangerous fight. To me, it's more dangerous for Khan than it is for Porter, because Porter's just so rugged, and Khan's coming off a brutal knockout in a higher division against Canelo at Canelo weight. So that's not really a good. As a fan, I'll watch it. I'll pay for it or whatever. Most likely I wouldn't have to, because it'd be on free TV. But what I'm saying is I'll support the fight just because it's two names and stuff like that. I just really feel that's not the type of fight that Khan should want as his first fight back if I was handling Khan. But then again, if I was handling Khan, I would have told him never to go up and face Canelo at 155, no rehydration clause too. So it's up to him. As a fan, I'll watch it. It's an interesting mesh of styles, but just that's a rugged style to the conditioning, the level of chin that he showed versus Thurman. That'd be an ugly, ugly fight for a guy like Shawn Porter. For a guy like Amir Khan, coming off that brutal knockout, especially. Even if he hadn't gotten knocked out by Canelo, I think that's still an ugly style. Again, Khan, he's a great boxer, but he struggles at controlling distance and being the ultimate matador when someone is forcefully coming. Like you watched even the Maidana fight. He had Maidana badly hurt in the first round. Maidana, being the warrior he is, and Chino, Ole Chino, he came back vicious in those later championship rounds. And when Khan is under pressure like that, he just kind of buckles. He doesn't know how to keep the people off him. Plus, at welterweight, I don't know if he has true welterweight power or a good enough jab to ward off a guy like Porter, who you know what I'm saying? You've seen Porter versus Thurman. Thurman was hitting him with bricks. He was hitting him with straight flush shots, and a lot of them were accurate, and he just kept coming. And it seemed like at some of those moments when he was getting buckled, that's when Porter would power through it to come at Thurman harder. So I just don't know how Khan would deter someone like that with kind of limited power at welterweight, stuff like that. That's what he struggles with. That's just my opinion. But if he wants to take the fight, I'll support it. Next question is from Frederick Cotton. Do you think Demetrius Andrade will ever get to face Canelo? Who knows? Doesn't look like it anytime soon. So I'll just leave it at that. I don't see it happening anytime soon because you look at it. Demetrius Andrade has no contract with HBO, has no contract with Showtime. He just declared that at the Thurman-Porter fights in the interview, right? So he has no home, so to speak, on a network, like meaning he's bound to, like Triple G pretty much has a working contract with HBO. Andre Ward has a contract with HBO, etc. So it's hard to maybe pull some of those guys over, like a Kovalev who has an HBO contract. You know what I mean? Pull him over to Showtime. That might be a harder feat. But Demetrius Andrade is with Banner Boxing, so he could fight on Showtime like he just did on the Ruslan Provodnikov John Molina Jr. card, but he's also been on HBO too. So the point being, him being with Banner Boxing, they could have made the Canelo fight instead of Liam Smith. Yeah, Andrade doesn't have a belt because his WBO got stripped, and they pretty much put it on the platter for Liam Smith to fight when it was vacant. You know what I mean? So Canelo could have chosen him already if he really wanted it, but it doesn't look like that's in Golden Boy's plan. So I don't know if they'll ever fight. And if Demetrius Andrade keeps looking like a threat, then I think the chance of them pushing for the fight without the public and them just saying, hey, this is the guy we want, is going to be slimmer and slimmer. As if he keeps looking like he did with Willie Nelson, I don't really see Team Canelo wanting to fight him. Next question is from Calvin Phelps. Ego, if Canelo wins the 154 WBO belt, do you think he will ever go up and fight Triple G? I don't know. These are all because this is the whole Canelo Triple G situation. It doesn't make sense the way he was handled from my perspective. So I really don't know. Like, these are all good questions, but it's clearly up to Golden Boy. I don't even understand certain things they've done to this point this year. Canelo was, he was like a rising star. They're saying he's the next Floyd Mayweather, and he's getting a lot of backlash right now. A lot. So I don't understand how he's being handled and some of the executive decisions that are being made on his behalf. I don't know if they're coming from Canelo. I don't know if it's Robert Diaz. I don't know if it's De La Hoya. I don't know if it's everybody, the Reynoso. I don't know. So I don't know what his immediate plan is, because I thought he was down to fight this September against Triple G based on what the agreement was with the WBC and also with Team Triple G, and then that turns out to not be the case. And then on top of that, he says he wants to acclimate to 160, right? And he's going in the opposite direction by shaving a pound to 154. And you can be, oh, it's just a pound, but it's still weight, especially if you have any type of struggle to make weight. And his last 5 fights have been at 155. So why are you all of a sudden shaving the 155 now and shaving the extra pound for a WBO title? But when Demetrius Andrade called you a bitch and called you out, you had no interest in that WBO title. So I don't know. Canelo's in a conundrum. Hopefully he does fight Triple G and is a man of his word, but I don't know, because I don't understand some of the decisions that have played out so far. Next question is Roberto Espinoza Torres. Was Thurman-Porter the best fight in PBC history? I mean, that's a tough question, because off the top of my head, they have so many PBC fights. I don't know. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want to be forgetting something. But I would say it is for the, in terms of the biggest, it's the best fight in PBC history based on what we got, what we expected, and the magnitude of the fight. I think the other fight that did better numbers was Keith Thurman versus Robert Guerrero, but Thurman-Porter was a more competitive fight and was a better fight. I thought Thurman-Guerrero, it was fun, and it was like the opening for PBC, the opener, so a lot of people just watch just to say, oh, what's this PBC about? So that's why I had higher numbers. But Thurman-Porter was clearly a better fight because it was so competitive. It was much more competitive. Guerrero showed heart, but he was still getting kind of beat up on. And yeah, so I would say in terms of a meaningful fight and a big fight, it was the best in PBC history. I don't know if it's the best, like, war of attrition or whatever you want to call it in PBC history, because I'd have to really think. But in terms of a big fight that delivered, yeah, I would probably say it's the best fight in PBC history, because it was meaningful for the welterweight division. It was a big fight. Everyone was checking for it, did good numbers. So for that reason, I would say yes. But I don't know. There, you know, I mean, there's a lot of, I've seen a lot of fights on there that were wars and stuff like that. Like the Edwin Rodriguez versus Michael Seals. I mean, I've seen a lot of wars, a lot of good fights. Next question is from the Mario. Ego, do you see Canelo waiting on Triple G in 2018? Laugh out loud. I don't know what that means. I guess you're saying, is he going to want the fight in 2018? And again, I don't know, because I don't understand some decisions thus far. So I don't know if he really wants to fight Triple G. It doesn't seem like it, because every time there's an opening or opportunity, it seems more and more distant. They say in December of 2015, hey, both camps have agreed. We're having one voluntary defense of your choice. If we get past that, then we'll fight in September and negotiate within 15 days. Then that happens. Wade gets knocked out. Khan gets knocked out. And then they say, hey, I'm dropping the belt. Surprise. And then he says, hey, I'm dropping the belt, but I still want to negotiate with Triple G. So that's what's being sold and told to the public. And then out of nowhere, report, press release or whatever comes out, and it says, hey, we're not fighting him. We're going to build up to the division not until fall 2017. So yeah, 2018, that wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me in this boxing game anymore. Next question is from Christopher Mano. If Canelo does happen to beat Liam Smith, which he's favored to do, then where does he go from there? Demetrius Andrade, Lara rematch, Charlo Brothers, Julian J. Rock Williams, and that is assuming that he stays at 154. Other opponents could be Vanes Matarosen, Willie Nelson, and if he decides to go to 160, you have David Lemieux, Saunders, Willie Monroe, Triple G. In all honesty, I can't see Canelo convincingly beating any of those fighters. Do you think that Canelo's career as a somehow considered superstar could be over? And again, these Canelo questions, it's really up to how Golden Boy tries to play it next. These are all difficult fights. And the reason Canelo's under so much immense pressure and fire, from my view, is because him and his team, they chose to teeter in between two divisions. One is stacked, And this is my breakdown of the boxing divisions. In terms of talent pools, where you look to your left or you look to your right and you see talented guys, welterweight is number one. There are the most threats at welterweight. You got Floyd Mayweather, maybe comes back. Manny Pacquiao maybe comes back. Earl Spence Jr., rising star that looks hard to beat. Shawn Porter, who even in loss looks like a threat. A crazy conditioning, crazy chin. You have Keith Thurman, who maintained his title, showed grit and toughness. He clearly has power. You have Amir dropping back down, most likely. You have Danny Garcia. You got guys that have been around the block like Josecito Lopez, Andre Berto, Victor Ortiz. You know what I mean? That's the most popping division. Sammy Vasquez. There's a ton of names. Lamont Peterson says he's moving up. Ton of names. Next is 154. Aside from welterweight, junior middleweight has the most names and the most talent. Even the guy Jarrett Hurd, looked good. And he's just developing. You know what I mean? He has less than 20 fights. Then you got guys like Edislandi Lara, Demetrius Andrade, Canelo, Willie Nelson, Vandes, J-Rock, Charlo brothers, right? Ton of talent. Maybe Cotto. I don't know what division he plans on fighting next, but possibly Cotto. A lot of good fights. And then the third one would be heavyweight for me. So, yeah, the biggest thing with Canelo is he has teetered in between a stacked division like 154 mixed with 160 where he won the title. You can't say, oh, he's only 25. He's 25. He's a champion. It don't matter. You think these are grown-ass men and killers. They fight for a living. A lot of them fought from age 6 and up. A lot of them fought through poverty and bullets flying in their neighborhood. You know what I mean? They fought through worse. They don't give a fuck if Canelo is 21, 22. If he has a license to box and he's a champion, he's a target. And I'm seeing fans who can't understand this. Oh, but Canelo's 25. He has a good he has a good resume, but he's a champion. Good resume, good fighter, 25 or not, he's a champion. You think anybody cared when Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion of the world? Do you think heavyweights that were 6'6", 6'5", weighed a lot more than Mike Tyson? Do you think they honestly cared that he was only 20? Oh, he hasn't even fully developed his man strength. He's only 20. When he beat Trevor Berbick, he's a target. They wanted a piece of it. Actually, they probably didn't want a piece because he was only 20 and he was destroying people. But bottom line is, they're not going to have mercy because he's 20. Like, oh, let me not hit him as hard. He's only 20 years old, guys. Come on, he's a kid. You heard on the HBO telecast, Orlando Salido, when he fought, he started pro just like Canelo at age 15. But in the Mexico circuit, you're 15, you could be fighting grown-ass men. That's just how it goes. You're a 15-year-old, you want to be a fighter, you want to be a pro fighter, and they told you on the HBO telecast, Salido got knocked out, I think, 5 times in his first 15 fights because he was a kid. He was 15. While some of you guys were passing notes to girls and going to your locker and stuff, Salido was getting knocked out by grown men having to learn on the job because he was 15, 16, or whatever age he was. I think his pro fight he got knocked out, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was his second fight. But the point being, he was 15. Those guys in Mexico that were professional fighters, oh yeah, this kid is 15, he wants to fight, and he's coming to knock me out, so let me knock him out first. Kill or be killed. So people got to stop with the whole, oh yeah, he's only 25. He is 25, but to me, it's the Canelo side's fault because once you become a champion, the target's on your back. The best course of events for Canelo, this is my opinion, and I always support and tell you why I feel this. The best chain of events would have been, to me, for Canelo to fight Cotto in a mega fight where Cotto was a lineal middleweight champion after beating Sergio Martinez. Fight Cotto, and from that point, decide, do we want to go up to middleweight and stay there, or was this a one-time thing and then we want to gradually acclimate? And if they would have made that executive decision right then and there, then they would either fought and campaigned at middleweight instead of fighting like the Amir Khans. They could have fought like a Willie Monroe even, right? Somebody at middleweight. Or they could have said, this was we eventually want to come up to 160, but we're going to drop the belts. And if they would have dropped it right then and there, there's not that building pressure. But you hold those belts hostage 6, 8 months, whatever it was, and Triple G keeps calling you, hey, no, guys, give me my belt. Like, you know what I mean? He's doing all this. That's making you look bad. And then on top of that, you talking shit back to him. Like, oh, fuck that. We can put the gloves right back on, man. Like they say in Mexico, we don't fuck around, man. Like, you can't do that. That makes you look bad because you did all that and got the fans geeked up and hyped, and then you vacated your belt. That's why Canelo's under this type of pressure. And then all of a sudden, diehard Canelo fans are saying, oh, but who is Triple G beat? No, don't revert to that. Because when Triple G was likened to fight Andre Ward, and I was making videos about that, and Troy King was doing videos with me, and he exposed Triple G's resume, right? You go to the comments on those videos, who is this fucking monkey, man? Who is this Troy King? Triple G will knock you out, Troy King. And nobody wanted to hear the whole argument. Let me show you, because this is what I do, new media. Y'all got me hyped up, man. So, again, you look at the facts. This whole conversation is crazy right now. Why people don't get it. Okay. 4 months ago, before the pressure for Canelo and Triple G became so immense, we did a video, me and Troy King, my dude, almost 10,000 views. Gennady Triple G Golovkin's pro resume exposed by Troy King, right? And he gave his honest, unadulterated thoughts about Triple G's resume in general. Okay, Troy is 7-0. Out of those 7, he beat someone with a 5-10 you know what I mean? They're not even on topic. You're talking about Troy's resume because he has an opinion. Once this dude, Boxingego, said, what about the guys that are ducking at Triple G? And he said, I don't care. I left the video. I'm done. And who is Troy King fought 17? Again, you guys could go. I'm not trying to spend too much time derailing. A lot of people disagree. That's the point. Triple G showed willingness to fight. This guy said Paul Smith is an animal, which is a lie. He didn't say that in the video, and I responded to him. I hate when you guys lie to try to make a point. He said Carl Froch was an animal. You know what I mean? But the point being in this video is this. When Triple G's resume was under fire 4 months ago, before this whole Canelo Triple G situation, the lid got blown off, people didn't care. No one wanted to hear that Triple G, not nobody, but a lot of people didn't want to hear that Triple G's resume is average. Now, some of the diehard Canelo fans, they see that Canelo's not in the best of light right now, and then now they're trying to revert to that. But they weren't saying that when Troy King was making this video with me and he was questioning Triple G's resume. And that's just what it was. So, Canelo, they kind of brought this up on themselves because they're in between two divisions with a lot of threats, like you mentioned. So, his superstar is not going to disappear overnight. I don't think that. But his stock can go down and people could start losing faith. But he has to fight somebody. He has to fight somebody to get him back in the limelight and get him back in the good graces. Are you buying the Canelo versus Smith fight? No, I'm not buying it. I'm not even going to travel to it, most likely, unless I get a really good deal on a plane ticket. I'm not, like, let's say it lands in Vegas. I'm not spending no buku money to go to Vegas for that. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. Unless something just, like I said, my money's real good, or I got free room and board or something. Man, I'm not doing that. Next question is Victor Munoz. What happens if Canelo loses to Liam Smith? I think you guys all know the answer to that. Sergio Reynoso said the same thing. What happens if Canelo loses to Liam Smith? I mean, obviously that would be the worst of situations, because you sit up here and brought in this no-name guy that a lot of people didn't know, even though he's a champion, but he won it through a vacancy. And if you lose to him, then, I mean, the ridicule is definitely going to come, I could imagine, just because, just the chain of events, it would look horrible. Floyd Money Mayweather said, do you think Miss Pac-Man should fight Broner or Crawford? Broner makes more business sense, Crawford for legacy. So it depends on what he's trying. I mean, Pacquiao's an older dude. He's already accomplished a lot, 8 division champ. Broner is more of a money fight because Broner's the loudmouth. Broner has a probably bigger name. If Crawford gets past Victor Postal, then he's the man. He's looking like the dude. So by fighting him, and especially if Pacquiao could beat him, especially after he beat Victor Postal, if that is the case, then that just solidifies Pacquiao's legacy. I mean, Pacquiao doesn't have to do anything else if he doesn't want to. His legacy is already etched in the history books. But I'm just saying, depending on if he wants to go out with that super exclamation mark, then I would take a Crawford over Broner if those are the two choices. So Broner for the business, which could be a fun fight. I think Pacquiao will clearly be the favorite over Broner based on the fighting styles. Crawford was probably a harder fight for Pacquiao based on Crawford's ranginess, his size. Pacquiao's a southpaw, and arguably Crawford fights better as a southpaw. So the fact that he's ambidextrous like that could give Pacquiao problems. And especially to me, if Crawford, especially if he dismantles Victor Postal, then that's a really difficult fight. If he wins like a split decision over Victor Postal, it's still a win. But if he makes it look like it remotely easy or stops Victor Postal or anything like that, the kid is really bad. You know what I'm saying? And then that's gonna tell me a lot about the danger level for him fighting Pacquiao. But if he's in like a tooth and nail fight and barely wins, then that's maybe not as difficult of a fight for Pacquiao. I don't know. I'd have to see how it plays out, but we'll see. Next question is from GDDD. Ego, with everything going on, Team Canelo, numerous lies, funny choices of opponents, etc., etc. What is the future of Golden Boy promotion in your opinion? Also, if you were a boxer, which side would you choose to manage your career? Mayweather Promotions, Top Rank, etc., etc. Based on the world of boxing today, everything that's going on, everything you know, decisions made, you must choose one. Keep up the good work. By the way, hashtag new media and still new media. I would clearly go with the Al Heyman, just the biggest stable. A lot of guys are getting paid. And when I talked to Earl Spence Jr., he said it best. I said, what do you think about people hating on PPC and complaining? He said, but are the fighters complaining? Says it all. Talked to Berto, he said the same thing. He said, I've been making money with Al for a long. You know, Berto talk all slow sometimes. I've been making money with Al for a long time. I've been a millionaire since I was 21. So I would clearly go with Heyman. These fighters deserve to get paid, and Heyman's kind of where the money's at. And not just the money, you could get a lot of exposure being on primetime TV. Look at Thurman-Porter, did great numbers, 2 million plus. That's great. Thurman, when he was fighting Julio Diaz on Showtime or whatever network that was on, I don't think he was getting no 2 million views. And see, this is the funny thing. Some people, Heyman's only competing with Heyman. Like Heyman does 2.1 or 2.6 or whatever it peaks at. Thurman-Porter, they say, oh, it should have did 4 million. But who else is doing that? You look at Top Rank's True TV, right? When Gilberto Ramirez was fighting on True TV, they don't even release the numbers for stuff like that. What about Oscar De La Hoya's LA Fight Nights or whatever? That's not even televised. So, you know what I mean? Like, who's Heyman competing with? You're comparing Al Heyman to his very first grand opening. You know what I mean? And saying 2 million is not good enough. But hey, tell me one pro fighter out there who, if you said, hey, I'm going to televise your fight and 2 million people will watch, they're going to be like, nah, man, that's some bullshit. I want 4 million people to watch. Man, these fighters would be happy to have 800 people, a crowd of 800 and 500,000 people watch. A lot of the fighters. So you can't tell me that 2 million is a bust. That's 2 million people that might not know who you are, and now they know who Keith Thurman is, or they know who Shawn Porter is. So get out of here. And then as far as Canelo, I've been talking about that the whole video. The future Golden Boy is, like 50 Cent said, you gotta do something, baby. Something special. That's what it is. They gotta do something. Lemieux, put him in there with a good fight. Curtis Stevens, Danny Jacobs, maybe even an Andy Lee. Something. You gotta do something, baby. Canelo, after this Liam Smith, if he gets past him, there's a lot of killers at 54. So decide if he's staying there. There's Charlos. You got Lara. You got Vanis. You got Andrade. You gotta do something. Or start making your way up to 160 for a Triple G and build up to that. So that's pretty much the future, is what they decide. What Golden Boy decides, their next move. That's going to be their future. But if they keep doing like low level, you know what I mean? The LA Fight Club or Fight Nights ain't going to cut it. That's cool. Somebody got mad because I posted something and someone left a comment about LA. And they're like, hey, this is for up and coming talent. That's cool. But you look at LA Fight Nights versus PBC. Who would you rather be? You rather be on LA Fight Nights that's not televised, or you could watch it online, Or would you rather be Jarrett Hurd, who got the call, had a good performance with Frank Galarza, then got the call to fight Oscar Molina to replace the co-main event, Abner Mares versus Jesus Cuellar? If you had that two choices, which one would you choose? I'll let you guys talk about that in the comment section. To be on the LA Fight Nights card, on let's say Kamagai versus Jesus Soto Caras rematch, you rather be on the co-main event for that, or the co-main event for Thurman-Porter like Jarrett Hurd? Next question. Fresh Prince of LB. I was really impressed with Andrade's performance against Nelson, so much so I could see him giving Little G some work. With Andrade's head movement, elusiveness, combination punching, and speed, I could see him being too much for Little G. What do you think about that matchup? Good fight. I really think Andrade should focus on 54. He already called out Triple G, said he's down, but in due time, he wants to clean up 54, and I think he has every right to. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Andrade and Triple G, because the fact of the matter is they're in two different divisions at the moment, and there's another fighter in the same situation, Southpaw, 154-pounder, slick style, and Lara actually beat Demetrius Andrade in the amateurs. I interviewed Andrade, and he was telling me about it, but Lara is in the same boat, and he called out Triple G, and it's been over a year now, and they barely even bring up his name. So I don't really know if there's an interest in making either fight for Gennady Golovkin right now. So I think Demetrius Andrade could be a good fight for Golovkin. It just depends on how his power carries up, but it's not an easy work fight for Andrade. That Triple G typically does good with that style, you know what I mean? But to Andrade's credit, he gives you different looks. But in general, like the Willie Monroes, the guys who just try to be all around slick, Triple G usually does pretty good with that style. He clearly has power. So it's not a gimme fight for Andrade, and it's not a gimme fight for Triple G, because we've never seen Triple G in there with someone who's 6 foot, who's as skilled as Demetrius Andrade, plus southpaw, which could give some people problems. Maybe not a lesser southpaw, but Andrade is like a complete package. So in due time, I think it's a great fight. I don't know who would win. I just have to see more from both. Andrade's been kind of inactive, so if he keeps cleaning up 154, then it'll tell me some more things about him. I already know he's a great fighter, but let's see if he can keep it up for a little bit longer at 54, and then it's a mega fight with Triple G, if in fact Triple G's still at 160 at that point. Next question is from AJ's. Welcome back, Ego. I noticed it's a lot of talk about Lomachenko in your YouTube comment section. A lot of people saying Loma is the A-Side because he's a 2-time champion as a pro in just 7 fights. Can you make a video how a fighter that record of 1-1 gets back-to-back WBO title fights when he lost the first fight? So many guys drop dramatically in the rankings and they lose, and they're a lot more proven as a pro. Prime example, John Jackson just dropped to number 8 in the WBC rankings. Politics, what's new? It's boxing. Lomachenko has a good push from his promoter, Top Rank. He's a great fighter, and they want to give him the opportunity. That's just a simple way to put it. Because I would easily favor Nicholas Walters, who's also with Top Rank, to beat Rocky Martinez. Because again, I thought Rocky Martinez should have lost to Orlando Salido in the rematch, and I thought he lost to Juan Carlos Burgos, a guy that Mikey Garcia destroyed, right? And was beating easily. And Burgos didn't even want to open up with Mikey Garcia, but he did open up with Rocky Martinez, and I thought he won that fight. And Mikey Garcia also destroyed Rocky Martinez. So Rocky Martinez is cool, but I think Nicholas Walters would have did the same thing to him that Lomachenko did, but he didn't get that opportunity, even though he made the move to 130 before Lomachenko. So it's all politics, who they want to push, who they want to give certain opportunities, and Top Rank decided to give Lomachenko, they feel he's the A-Side for whatever reason, and they gave him the opportunity. Simple as that, politics. Next question is from Smiley G. After watching Demetrius Andrade, do you think that he could fill Mayweather's shoes? He looked excellent against a good opponent. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, he's clean cut, he's tall, he's a southpaw. He's going to be hard to beat, and he has all the tools to be a complete fighter for years to come. So yeah, I definitely think so. Reese the Comedian, next question. Who is more avoided in your eyes in order? Rigo, Lara, Triple G. Rigo, number 1. Honestly, Lara and Triple G would probably be number 2. They're both about avoided the same. I think there's people like Canelo who doesn't want to fight Lara in a rematch, and then there's guys like Billy Joe Saunders and Danny Jacobs that don't really want to fight Triple G. So I think it's about the same for them. But Rigo is the king of being avoided because he actually had people move out of their division to not fight him on more than one occasion. And people that didn't want to give him rematches because he beat him. Like Nonito Donaire didn't want to have a rematch, moved out of the... Actually, that's the third person. So look at this. Rigo beat Nonito Donaire, and he was still a star. He chose to, instead of rematch Rigondeaux, like, hey, let me get some get back and beat your ass, he chose to move up in weight. And then he later got stopped by Nicholas Walters. Didn't look good versus Victor Archinian, a guy he had smooth knocked out years before. But he left the division, and to this point, we still haven't seen a Rigondeaux rematch. So it's like, as a fighter, you look at Rasheed Warren. He lost to Payano and immediately fought him back and got that title. You know what I mean? Look at Mayweather, who didn't even lose to Jose Luis Castillo on paper, right? And he fought him later that year because he heard the critics. He heard the criticism. But Nonito didn't do that. Same thing with guys like Abnormadas didn't want to fight him. And then you also had people like Leo Santa Cruz, who was in the division, then moved up. And same thing with Carl Frampton. Carl Frampton and Scott Quigg winner was supposed to fight Rigondeaux. And he beat Quigg, broke his jaw, and then he moved up. Now he's fighting Leo Santa Cruz. So it's pretty much a fight with two guys that avoided Rigondeaux and left their previous division when they were staying there for so long. And then the Rigondeaux pressure got so immense that they end up leaving. So Rigondeaux is the king of people, because I haven't seen nobody leave the division for Triple G. Like Danny Jacobs and Billy Joe Saunders, maybe they don't want to fight him, or maybe they want a certain amount of money, but they're not saying, hey, oh, fuck this guy, I'm moving to super middle. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I see it. Next question is from Motion Alex. Your prediction for the Eubank Triple G fight, Triple G. And what should Triple G do next? Fight a guy like Eubank if you can't get the better fights with champions like Danny Jacobs or Billy Joe Saunders. Also, what should he do to get the Joe unification bout? I mean, I talked to Paulie Malignaggi. He said it best. He said you can't force a guy to get in the ring with you. So, I mean, he can't control if Billy Joe Saunders doesn't want it. And to me, it doesn't look like Billy Joe Saunders wants to fight him. It's always something like, oh yeah, he needs to come to the UK. I want to have a couple things me way. Like, what do you mean a couple things me way? He has more belts than you. You're not no global star like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might have to have a couple things me way. I'm not afraid. Like, whatever. Fight him. And then this is like almost a telltale sign, because I used to see this in high school. Let's say there'd be two kids fighting, and then one kid is not really all rah, and then the teachers come, or the principal, or whoever comes, the campus monitor comes to break up the fight, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see his character switch. You're like, oh man, fuck you, bitch, hold me back. And they got all like about it when there was an intervention, the teacher or whoever came to break up the fight. That's kind of what I seen with Billy Joe Saunders. He had signed on to fight Dominic Wade, and the same day it was announced that Triple G was fighting Dominic Wade, Billy Joe Saunders put a tweet like, man, make the Triple G fight. Like, come on, man. That doesn't even... The day his fight is announced, you're talking about, I want to fight him. I'll fight him. He said something like, it doesn't even have to be in the UK. I'll come to the States to fight him. But before you were screaming, he needs to come to the UK because I want a couple things me way. And then all of a sudden, now you're saying the day his fight is announced with Wade, you're saying you want to fight him and you'll even do it in the States. Like, that's, man, get out of here. So that's what I think. But I think Triple G will beat Eubank. But it could be a test because Eubank's clearly in shape, good corner. Greg Sanders, similar question. Do you think Chris Eubank Jr. is a good step up in competition for Golovkin? I'm not going to say a step up because Eubank Jr., he stepped in with Billy Joe Saunders and lost. He's solid, but I mean, middleweight's just not popping like that. You know what I mean? The best fight to be made at middleweight to me, stylistically, is Danny Jacobs, and I would still favor Triple G in that fight. But I think I like Danny Jacobs' attitude. He beat cancer, 6 foot tall, power, destroyed Quillen, amateur background. That's just me personally. Chris Eubank Jr. is solid if he can't get those other guys, which it's not really his fault if he can't get those two. And if he doesn't want to go like a Lara, or does, you know what I mean, or whatever, go to the UK and fight Eubank Jr. is solid. But I wouldn't say it's a step up. I mean, it's a different stylistic fight. But, I mean, what more has Chris Eubank Jr. done than David Lemieux or Martin Murray? You know what I mean? He's still kind of in that same type of conversation. It's not like you can't compare Floyd Mayweather or Pacquiao to a Martin Murray. People will look at you like you're crazy. Like if you try to say that Martin Murray is in the same class of fighter as Pacquiao or as Floyd Mayweather. But then when you look at Chris Eubank Jr., because your question is it a good step up? You look at Chris Eubank Jr., and he would still be in the same tax bracket as a Martin Murray, a David Lemieux, a Daniel Gill. He just gives you a different stylistic look because every fighter is different. Every fighter has their own positives and attributes. But I wouldn't say Chris Eubank Jr. is it. I mean, if he was that impressive, like, you know what I mean, like that unstoppable, he wouldn't have the loss already to Billy Joe Saunders. He would have beat him. And some people think he did beat him. I don't know. But I'm just saying it's not like, from what he's proven so far, it's not like he's this supreme proven world beater in comparison to some of Triple G's past competition. So I don't see it like that. And the final question for this week's Monday Mail Day is coming from Black Rooster. What do you think happens if Canelo Smith pay-per-view numbers fail miserably? You mean win? That's funny. So when the numbers fail, hopefully Golden Boy Team Canelo, they realize that this whole A-Side stuff has to stop. You do realize that this is a competitive sport. I understand the business aspect, but you have to put on somewhat decent fights at the very least if you're going to charge pay-per-view prices. Again, people hated Floyd Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana. The first fight was fun. It was exciting. Floyd traded maybe even more than he should have. He was on the ropes, having to fight off. Maidana did a lot better than expectation. He felt it. He was coming off the Broner win. He was a champion, and that was a fun fight. Now, there's a chance that Liam Smith could be that type of fight, but people wouldn't know enough to be curious because we haven't seen enough of Liam Smith to let us know, hey, we should purchase this. This is a ticket you don't want to miss. And that's the biggest problem with the boxing fans. Maidana, we know what Maidana, he was just coming off of a highly publicized and talked about fight. He gave an undefeated fighter at that time, Adrian Broner, his first loss, hurting him and knocking him down twice. Broner was on World Star. Broner was in rap lyrics after that. It was highly discussed. It was the end of the year type of fight. I think it was in December, and Maidana made a name for himself. He also forced Victor Ortiz to quit. Hey, I'm a young guy. I don't deserve to get beat up like this. I'm a tree bro. All that. He had been in there with Amir Khan, got hurt, weathered that storm in the first round with the nasty body shot that Khan landed, and he gave Amir Khan hell, almost knocked him out, right? He had been in there with Jesus Soto Caras. He got hurt in the Josito Lopez fight, rallied back. So my point being, we know what to expect from a Maidana. Even a Berto. I'm not saying that was Mayweather's best pay-per-view or whatever. The numbers showed you that. However, most people have seen Berto fights. They've seen he was game in the Jesus Soto Caras fight. Even though he got stopped, he had one fucking arm and he lasted till the 12th round. We've seen a war with Robert Guerrero where he got hurt early off of a 15-month layoff, right? We know these guys' pedigrees, so it makes a little bit sense. You know, even the Pacquiao Chris Algieri fight, yes, that was a mismatch. I knew it going because I studied the game. But Chris Algieri at the very least had an HBO main event where he showed a lot of heart and tenacity against a guy that gave Timothy Bradley hell, Mauricio Herrera hell, etc. and Ruslan Provodnikov on HBO. When has Liam Smith been on HBO? When has he really been seen in the States? Who's his Ruslan Provodnikov even? You know what I mean? Where Ruslan was at that time. Ruslan had at that time, well, since then, he has a bunch of losses. But at that time, he was recently fighting guys like Tim Bradley and losing close fights like to Mauricio Herrera and stuff like that, where he was battering guys when he fought Chris Algieri. So again, I'm not saying that was the right move for Pacquiao, but at least Top Rank tried something with a guy who had some type of at least one main event exposure, and they were trying to ride off the success. I haven't even seen Liam Smith fight, period, and you want me to come out of my pocket for it? So hopefully when the numbers don't do good as expected, they get the picture from the fans. That's the message from the fans. And it's a very daring move that Golden Boy would even try this, because they just faced a UK fighter with a bigger name in Amir Khan, and the numbers for that weren't great. 400 to 500,000. That's not astronomical. And the main talking point that I heard from people supporting Canelo Khan, I made a video, 7 reasons Canelo versus Khan should not happen. Some people said, you're hating Ego. This is a good fight, right? And I knew the outcome. Khan bit off more than he can chew. I knew it. I told people that, right? Oh, he can outbox. Floyd outboxed him, but he's a different level of fighter, and he has a different defense, whole different DNA as the boxer, right? So I knew the outcome. They said I was hating, and I turned out to be right. And the numbers showed you. People knew that particular fight, what the outcome should be. The bigger guy, if they were naturally the same size, then maybe I have a different prediction, but they weren't, and I knew that. And Khan had been hurt at 35 and 40, knocked down even at a catch weight of 43 or 44 with Julio Diaz. I knew the outcome, right? So that's why people don't want to pay for stuff like that. So to have a bigger UK star like Amir Khan, and that doesn't do all that great, and then immediately put us in a position where we had to pay for Canelo versus an even lesser known UK fighter in Liam Smith, who most people in the States haven't seen, and that's the market. They're not fighting Liam Smith in the UK, I can assure you that. I'd be shocked. And I told you, I did a bet. If they fight Liam Smith in the UK over in England, like Liverpool or somewhere, London, then I will pass out, literally buy 5 Canelo shirts with my own money and have a raffle and give them out to fans. But I know that's not the case. I don't see them fighting the UK, so at least make it somewhat competitive. It'd be one thing if Liam Smith was riding off of a Broner style win like Maidana, or even a Chris Algieri style Rocky type of win with one eye over Provodnikov. Then you can at least try to sell us something like that. But Liam Smith doesn't even have that. His best win is who? John Thompson, who got stopped a year before by Frank Galarza and recently got knocked down and beat up by Willie Monroe, a guy with like 6 knockouts, right? That Triple G disposed of in 6 rounds. And this is the fight you're trying to sell. So hopefully, and not even just Golden Boy, with pay-per-view in general, hopefully they get the picture that we're competing with free TV. So we have to make great competitive matches if we're going to charge. I, as a fan, I'm not cheap. I've been supporting boxing my whole life, right? In some way, shape, or form. I try to give people exposure. I have a channel. I watch. I support. I buy. The only thing is, I'm not a fool. You're not going to piss on my leg and say it's raining. You know what I mean? You're not going to shit in the plate and say it's tiramisu. I'm not going for the okie doke. So if it's a good fight, Andre Ward Kovalev, I have no problem shelling out the money. Terrence Crawford versus Victor Postal, those are good fights, meaningful fights. Thurman-Porter could have even been on pay-per-view and I would have bought that, right? That's just me personally. I don't know, some people are cheap. Some people have kids and other situations. My money and finances, I don't mind. But when it's a pay-per-view every month, then yeah, I'm not going to buy it. Because then I have to, at that point as a consumer, I have to determine what's the highest priority. Like if it's Cotto Canelo, which I did buy, I bought that fight. Am I going to buy that and then the month before buy Triple G Lemieux? No, I'm not. So I had to go with the one that I wanted to see the most. So hopefully these companies, promoters, networks, they get the picture with these failed numbers. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not a failure to them if it does 250. Maybe they I don't know the back end metrics and stuff. So maybe that's a success to them and they came up. I don't know, but I think the numbers constantly declining will show that a guy like Canelo, yes, he's a star. He has star power. He has a lot of fans, but you can't just put him in there with anybody. Those days are over. You got the Fire Stick. You got all types of stuff streaming. You got people who would rather just go to a Buffalo Wild Wings or a bar to watch fights. And that's kind of what it is. People aren't going to be eager to have fight parties for Canelo, Liam Smith, fights like that. You know what I mean? It's how it goes. So hopefully with the decline in numbers of fights that we're not requesting, Pacquiao, Bradley, Mayweather, Berto, and probably the worst out of that whole bunch, which is Canelo, Liam Smith, just because it's the biggest, it's the most blasphemous. Berto Mayweather, not the greatest pay-per-view. We knew that Floyd should win that fight, but you got to say Berto is younger. He's a 2-time world champion, and most importantly, Floyd had just beat the guy that was supposed to beat him for 5 years, and he wanted to finalize his contract and take a ride off into the sunset type of fight. I don't have as much problem with that. It's like Thurman-Porter just gave us a war. So if they don't go in with a Maidana type or Earl Spence Jr. for the very next fight, me being a realistic boxing fan, I'm okay with that because they just gave us a war. You know what I mean? I don't want them to fight Rod Salkas for the next 3 or 4 fights, but after a war like that, after giving them, your body needs to heal. So if they want to take a couple months off and take a softer touch, I don't have a problem with that. I'm realistic. That's just me personally. But Liam Smith is probably the most blasphemous. The fans are craving Canelo versus Triple G and screaming at the top of their lungs for it. They tell us, oh, it needs to marinate. It's not ready yet. Shit, it's ready now. I got $100, $120 right now for the pay-per-view, right? If that's what it had to be, I got it right now. I'll just go to the Bank of America, withdraw it right now. But they're not giving it to me. So, yeah. Hopefully, to wrap up this whole show, the pay-per-view numbers reflect and people don't just keep falling for the okie doke and buying things just because they're fans, knowing you didn't want to see that fight. Stand up for what you believe in. If you wanted the Liam Smith fight, let's say you're from the UK or you're a Canelo fight and that's what you've been dreaming of, okay, support it. I'm not going to tell people what to do. You guys are all independent thinkers, men and women. So if that's what you really wanted, support it. If you think it's going to be a great fight, support it. I know me, I'm not just going, I don't go off what someone tells me. You know how many times a network has tried to sell me a package? Oh, this person is indestructible. Look at what they did with Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, she's the female Terminator. She ain't no Terminator. She got terminated by Holly Holm. I'm not going with that. Oh, she's the best fighter in women's history. What about Layla Ali? What about Ann Wolfe? You know what I mean? They're telling me Ronda Rousey is the best female fighter in fighting sports history. Put her in there with Ann Wolfe. Even at this day, I would put my money on Ann Wolfe. So, again, me, I'm an independent thinker. I don't need someone to think for me. Liam Smith, Canelo, if you guys love it, buy it. But me, I don't see the value in it. And I think there's plenty of other fights, even if it wasn't Golovkin, that could have been made. And that wraps up this week's Monday Mail Day. I'm back. I try to get to a lot of questions. I appreciate all the support, all the people asking for a Monday Mail Day and summoning me back, getting me back in the mode. And we here now. Let me know how you think I did this week. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.